I'm Andy.
I'm Roxie.
And who are these guys?
This is Hudson, and that's Cash.
Okay, so the 1, 2, 3, 4 of us are going to drive around Richmond today and see what we can learn about each other.
Yay!
All right, let's do it. Everyone has a nickname for their pets. You know, I mean, it's not just Hudson and Cash. What do you actually call them?
I call him Booger, and I call him Sleepy Pants, because he's always sleeping.
Sleep. Do you have pants? What kind of dogs are they?
From what we can tell, they're Chocolate Lab Aussie mixes, but they're 3, so they have their 3rd birthday next week, don't you? And they didn't get too big, so
Yeah, they're a good size.
yeah.
And they're still small enough that they feel like you can play with them.
Yeah, and they can still be lap dogs.
I'm from Richmond. I've lived here my whole life. Where do you come from?
I'm from Richmond too. My whole family was born and raised here. My grandparents, I actually grew up with my grandparents and my mom in the same house.
Okay.
Business owners, and then my mom worked at Reed, and I moved away for college and then came back, which wasn't actually the plan, but it kind of worked out that way. So.
And how long have you been back without attaching a number to yourself?
I've been back 5 years now.
Okay.
So I graduated in 2013 from college.
Where'd you go to school?
Worcester, the College of Worcester up in Worcester, Ohio.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so if it's been 5 years, how are things in those 5 years?
They've been great. I really didn't want to move back to Richmond. I actually applied for a job in Indy, and the job said, well, we're opening a building in Richmond. Can you work there? And I said, oh, maybe. And then it just became kind of the perfect option for me at the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
And still with the same company? Or?
No. So I moved back to go to work at the Excel Center,
Mm-hmm.
which is the adult high school program in the community. And I was there for about 3.5 years. Left there and went to IU East for about running a red light.
Yeah.
And then worked at IU East for a year and then moved to the Chamber.
Okay. Well, other than red lights being run, I saw it coming,
And just
but I
just
saw
let it happen.
directions. I saw that we were clear on both sides, so I wasn't going to worry about it.
Not worry about it.
Most of the people that we end up talking to have some level of artistic or creativity kind of something in them or in their past, or
Yeah.
how does that find you in your past, in your everyday life? What do you...
So in my past, I was never a theater person. I did a couple plays in high school, but nothing too serious. But I was really involved in music in high school, and I started playing the piano when I was 5, and still play it every once in a while. But then I was in band and played multiple instruments. I stuck with the French horn through high school, so that was really exciting. I loved that piece of it. It just wasn't something that I was great at. So,
Did you practice?
I practiced a lot. Actually, I had lessons, and
Okay.
I just wasn't in love with it at the time. But I have a very deep love for music and the arts and the theater. I'm just not good at it.
So did you, because I think I've seen a picture or two, you marched with the marching band, right?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so how did you, because Indiana State Fair Band Day is huge in this community.
It's a whole different animal than it is in any other community.
Exactly. And, well, the concentration of high school marching bands in this county alone compared to anywhere else in the state is kind of remarkable, I
Yeah.
always thought.
Yeah. In Indianapolis, there's only 1 or 2 schools that compete in the state fair level. Now, there are different categories of bands.
And stuff, right.
But for Wayne County, every high school has a band that competes at the state level, which is
they're pretty
fun.
good.
Yeah, they're always in the top 16.
Yep. So how how many years did you march? 3 or 4?
4. Yep,
And
I marched.
how did you guys finish when you were there in those years?
Our best finish was 2nd place, and it's still a sore subject for all of us in that senior year.
Is this the year that you guys lost by less than a point?
Oh, it was like 0.13.
Was it to Winchester?
Winchester or
Southside, maybe?
it was Southside. Yeah, we did not like Southside.
I remember there was one year where I think the difference, it was like I
1.3.
want to say it was, for some reason, I was thinking there was a 0.05 that somebody came in second.
That was I think that was a couple years later, yeah, to Winchester, yeah.
Okay, so there were 2 second place finishes within a handful of years.
Mm-hmm.
And each one of those was by less than a quarter of a point.
Yes.
One of them by less than a tenth of a point.
Yeah, isn't that just absurd?
Well, I always thought that there was a part of me that's just, I give up.
Yeah.
You know, just what can you possibly, how do you, as the instructor, as the teacher, the mentor, how do you tell your kids, what do you say?
Yeah, it's so hard.
Because that's essentially a tie. If you have 1,000 of something, and then you have 997 of something, and you put both of them side by side, you cannot tell the difference between
You honestly can't. And it's still, like, we had our reunion this summer, and the band kids were all still talking about it. They're like, remember that time that we lost by 0.13? And it's like,
It's, it's the context I have for that is that I was in the band in '88 when we won.
Oh,
so
jealous.
We had now it's a whole, like you said, it's a whole different animal. It is a completely different style of performance compared to what it was, because the shows that you were a part of and the shows that were of the next 10 years or so after I got out, there's so much more physical involvement in what you guys are basically sprinting from start to finish
the whole time.
And you're playing music.
Yeah, what instrument did you play?
I was a trombone player.
Okay.
Absolutely. I would have been good, but I didn't have any desire to practice.
Yeah.
I was a really, really good marcher, though.
Oh, well, that's
and
part
I got
of it.
a great, Stephen Varnell was my director. He was, because they were kind of like, they had like 2 legacy directors in a row. And one way or the other, it's not really happened since Varnell left. I mean, there's been not a lot of turnover, but there's been more than there used to be.
Yeah.
But, cultures change, societies change, and the music department's not as big a deal as it used to be.
Yeah.
Whether that's good or bad, it's just what it is.
Yeah.
So it was, my 4 years spent with Mr. Varnell changed the direction for the rest of my life. At least, I got a little clouded for a while, but now what we're doing with DIVA and
you definitely spun that. Yeah,
I got all of that. He helped find that in me. Put it that way.
Yeah, I will say the band directors were definitely probably 2 of the closest teachers I had in high school.
Yep.
And I was involved in a lot in high school, but the band was always kind of the home.
Well, how were you as a kid? I mean, socially, You kind of strike me as the kind of person that everybody would want to hang out with.
No, I was so quiet and shy in high school that I struggled to, I had friends, but I didn't have, I wasn't like the outgoing one, or I definitely...
Not like a big circle of friends?
No, I kept it very close-knit, and...
Were they band friends?
Yeah, always band kids,
yep.
And we're all still friends to this day.
If you had to explain yourself, who you are, what you are, all that stuff, to someone in like a 2-sentence thing, how would you do that?
I'm a community-minded young professional who loves to spend time with family, friends, and just enjoy life. And I think the big one on there that people will focus on is that community-minded, because I think that's where most people associate me with the community.
When it comes to family, how does that manifest itself? I'm one of 6 kids, but we're not super close. We're not close.
Yeah.
We lost each of our parents about within 11 months of each other about 4 years ago.
Oof.
and that kind of sobers you up and starts making you realize how much you actually care for each other.
Yeah.
So
it does.
siblings, how's all that work?
I'm an only child, and much like you, I've lost my parents. So I have my family are my friends. I have neighbors that I've known my entire life, and they are grandma and grandpa. I have aunts and uncles that aren't biologically related, but my family is very much friends because my family's gone. But being an only child, there was a lot of pressure growing up, and I have lots of great friends that have been surrounding me, and they kind of keep me going.
It's kind of a little bit of a heartbreaking statement to hear when you say your family's gone.
Yeah.
So how long have you, my parents have been gone for about 4 and 5 years. Mm-hmm. How long are you talking for you, and how does that still, because I know there are times for me where it's like, oh, that's my mom, and I'm like at Walmart, and it's not my mom.
Yeah, I still have those moments. My mom passed away from breast cancer in 2017.
Wow,
so it's just been a little over, and so obviously you didn't know her, but we were like thick as thieves together, and a lot of people refer to us as the Gilmore Girls because we were always together, always doing something, very just close. And so I lost both my grandparents. I had lost my grandpa a few months before my mom was originally diagnosed, and just that process and learning a lot about it's a different experience when you go through it as a kid. Your parents keep you very sheltered, but when you're the adult in this situation, that is the toughest thing to go through. And I've been able to live out my mom's legacy in a very unique way with her Fight Like Jan fundraisers and raise a lot of money for Read Bravo, which is really important to me and something I'm very passionate about. So that's been a great way for me to drive that energy that I have, and it keeps me kind of going sometimes when there are tough days.
You have a dish at home, and there's a stain on it, and no matter what you do, you can't get the stain off. It's like on a shirt or a pair of pants, but you're still going to wear those pants, or you're still going to use that plate. But the stain is clean.
It's always,
It's there,
but it's still visible.
And it's still exactly. That's a great little metaphor there. It's a visible thing, and you have to deal with it. And there are times of, I can't wear these pants out because of the stain, and somebody's going to see them, and I'm going to be embarrassed. And then about a month goes by, and you're like, I don't care what anybody thinks about my pants.
Right, exactly.
And so over time, you kind of have this. There's a grieving period that, it's the whole. There's the bargaining, there's the acceptance, and all that.
The denial, all of it.
So, but eventually you get to that. There's this wonderful level of I don't care. To a degree.
You just become almost like you've accepted all of the things that you're going to feel, and it doesn't mean that you're okay with it, but you know that that's part of your life now. That's who you are.
And what I have found is that when that story is new to someone else, and they don't think you show the appropriate level of emotion or whatever, and it's like, I've had 7 years to come to grips with this, and those 7 years have been awful. What you're seeing now is me getting used to something over 7 years worth of garbage, and at some point just choose to accept things for what they are and try to bring it's corny, but bring a positive energy where you're going. I'm grumpy, but damn it, I'm tired of being angry all the time.
Exactly. You can't wallow in it, and we go through phases where we need to wallow and we need to be in the feelings and the thoughts, but at some point for our own health and well-being, we have to say, okay, let's put that in a corner and focus on how else we can live our lives.
Okay, so speaking of that, when you find yourself in a tough spot, mentally or socially, whatever you want to call that, what do you do? How do you pull yourself out of that?
So it's tough sometimes. So for an easy fix, I box. So I set up time with a trainer. I go in and I box, or I recently started taking the core to force classes at the Y. Just something that gets me to like, I can physically like be aggressive, but without having to hurt anyone or be, without having to hurt myself. This is an easy way for me to just let out a lot of steam. And that solves any anxiety I have. Long term, I really have to take care of myself. I have to make sure that I'm mentally, therapy, all of the things that you go through. Just making sure that you have an outlet, time for yourself, time with the things or people you love, are all really important to me.
My youngest brother once told me that, maybe it was my mom, you have a right to be happy, or you have a right to happiness. And it's a nice greeting card kind of thought.
Yeah.
But it's not always that simple. You can't just consistently across the board do only what you want just to please yourself. So
exactly.
There are conditions to that and how you make those things work, but what Amy and I are trying to do is we're trying to find ways to, we constantly evaluate what do we want, what do you want to be known for?
Yeah, what's your legacy?
Yeah. And if the legacy is being an internet troll, I think more people are maybe going to rejoice in your departure from the world than, oh, remember that time that I got called a blankety blank, and oh, I miss those days. What's new in your life? Anything?
Well, there's always something new going on. So obviously I'm a part of HYPE, and
yes, which stands for
helping young professionals engage.
Yes. And that's not a dating organization.
No. Sometimes we have some dating events, but
do you really?
We've done a stoplight party before, and it really was
what
just
kind of party?
A stoplight.
What's a stoplight party?
So you wear red if you're not looking for anyone, yellow if you're kind of in the, you might be looking for somebody, or green if you're open to meeting new people. And we do that around Valentine's Day.
God, you millennials.
We have to have a theme or we're not going to show up.
I kind of like that, though.
Yeah. But HYPE is really getting involved this year in the mayoral election, so we have a debate coming up. I'm excited. It's the first time I've moderated a debate.
Are you moderating it?
I am moderating
love that.
it. I'm so nervous, but we've spent a lot of time working really hard on this event. Richmond Community Schools came to us and they said, you could do it in our building. And I thought, oh, that's kind of cool. Like, get the kids involved. So the high schoolers are helping us write the questions. And the teachers are giving extra credit to the students who show up. We're going to have voter registration there that night so they can get registered to vote. But obviously politics is really important to me, and I believe that everybody should vote and that you need to make educated decisions when you walk into the voter booth, and I will promote that until I'm blue in the face. So I really hope people come away from this debate not only informed about their candidates, but also they know that their voice matters in this community, and that's my goal with this debate.
Kevin Shook.
Yes.
Who is, because I'm from the Generation X, and they're, X and older are so stereotyped, and I think accurately, into millennials can't do anything. They don't know how to do this, they don't know how to do that. So it was refreshing to me, and I don't subscribe to that. I mean, every older generation always complains about younger generations.
Yeah,
it's nothing new, but that Kevin, who is literally out there giving that level of commitment to his community as a firefighter, as a first responder, it's just like, maybe we can shut up about the millennials not pulling their weight. It's like, I don't think that's fair.
We do things differently, and I say that because, and I'm an outlier in that I'm an old soul most of the time, and I am old school
I can kind of see that.
But we work differently, we think differently. We're not always, people often classify millennials as thinking about themselves all the time.
Right.
And really, it's thinking about our brand, thinking about what we're putting out into the community and how that's helping people. For me, I'm never going to take a job where I sit behind a desk 9 to 5. It's not for me. I can't do it. And most of my friends are the same way. We want to be out. We want to be talking to people. We want to be promoting a big something, whatever, a big idea.
Right.
But it's hard because that's not the work that's available to us.
October 4th and now October 5th, you are going to be the guest improviser with the Department of Improv.
Yeah.
And so I would be remiss to not use the word remiss to say that when we started pushing tickets for your shows, the level of response was something we could not have possibly expected or been ready to handle. We went to sleep and woke up and had almost oversold the venue because people just kept buying stuff.
I can't explain it. I have no idea what.
We have had a couple of people, it may have been Hoover that said this, that when your stuff starts becoming available, he goes, they're gonna sell out. They're gonna sell out so fast. And I was like, we've sold out most of our shows, and sometimes it takes a whole month to make that happen.
Right.
But this was. How did that make you feel?
I said it online. I said, you guys just, this community just rallies. And a lot of these people are my mom's friends that are coming. And that to me, it makes me feel really good. I'm super nervous because now I know the people in the audience. But I'm so happy and thankful for the opportunity. And it just, honestly, I'm just really excited. And I love every single person who has told me they've bought tickets, they're bringing family. There are people that I've looked up to my entire life, and they're coming and they're bringing their family, and so that's really exciting to me. And it's going to be a fun night, a fun couple of nights.
Well, and see, that's the thing, that the 9 o'clock show was already sold out. Yeah. 7 o'clock at this point is within 3 of being sold out, and we had to add something we've never done, a third show on Saturday.
Yeah.
And we're going to let that run a little bit longer.
Yeah.
To about an hour and a half or so. And,
and I think some of your season ticket holders are going to that one instead, and that's fantastic. I'm excited. I know Jeff Locke is going to that one, and
okay, right.
I think they deserve an hour and a half. They're season pass holders. They are loyal to you.
That's a really neat way of seeing that. Your shows
is the
will
second
begin
year.
The second year.
Yeah, and you've got an incredible lineup of people. You've got Erica Kretschmann. You've got Ashley Sieb, and I heard after two beers. Yeah, I'm excited about that one too.
You mentioned your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Like getting out, the whole idea. Sheldon Cooper's got that great line, why would I want to get out of my comfort zone?
Right.
It's called it for a reason. You seem to me, and this is, I think, why you're suited really well for improv, just in general, your comfort zone seems really broad.
That comes from years of being a camp counselor, I will say that.
What kind of camp?
So I mentioned I was in student council.
Right.
So every year they have it's called Student Leadership Institute. And it's a 4-day, they take the high performing student leaders from all across the state and put them in a camp up at Manchester for it's like 4 or 5 days. And the staff that it takes to pull that camp off, because it's a boundary breaking, you get totally out of your comfort zone in this, and I can't even explain how incredible this camp was. Well, I went for 2 years in high school, and then I became part of the staff, and there are you cannot have shy or awkward moment. You have to be on and going and ready and at the highest level of performance for 5 days if you're on that staff. And it's a lot. I don't know if you've followed Challenge Day, but it takes that essential programming and extends it out over 4 days. So if you want people to be comfortable with you, you have to be comfortable being out of your comfort zone. And that camp, truly being on the staff, was probably the thing that pushed me out of my comfort zone the most. And I don't think I'll ever match it. So anything I do now, I'm just okay, this is nothing compared to what I've done before.
going through a red light, cast the first
exactly.
ticket
You
or whatever.
can't say anything.
No, it happens.